ABC Listen. Podcasts, radio, news, music and more.
No, not at the moment. It hasn't really made me reconsider. I think injuries are kind of part of it. We knew that. You're obviously a little bit more likely as a bowler to have injuries, but I've had a pretty good run over the last few years. So, hopefully don't miss too much of this summer, if any. I've no kind of decision or thought really on captaincy beyond that.
That is Pat Cummins after we asked whether his new back injury had given him any reason to think about how much longer he wants to captain Australia. And look, we weren't expecting him to give us a date in concrete, but when you consider the reality that his level of involvement this summer is an open question, well, all of a sudden, cornerstones of the Australian setup just have a little bit of a different complexion. Steve Smith is an unbelievable backup, but at 36 years of age, it seems reasonable to expect that he's not going to be the next full-time leader. Ever so slightly, you get the sense of things just shifting. I'm Patrick Stack. This is ABC Sport Daily. Today in Sydney, Cricket Australia launched its new kits for the summer, and that meant some big names talking to us for really tight windows. And these things can be a bit of a cat-herding exercise for everyone involved. What we were sort of most interested in these tiny little windows when we got to talk to really interesting people, was how some of the veterans of the sport, like Pat Cummins, like Mitchell Starc, like Alyssa Healy, are thinking about some of the leadership challenges that are coming for Aussie cricket and the idea of sporting and career mortality. Let's start with Mitchell Starc.
Mitch Starc, I wonder at 35 years of age, given all you've done across multiple formats, how easy it is to get excited about a new kit after all this time. But is there still an element of, I guess, excitement, even this advanced stage of your career?
Yeah, I guess when you're unveiling new uniforms, it sort of signals the start of the summer. So you get to the end of footy finals and you're talking about the summer coming up. The girls obviously head off tomorrow for the World Cup, and then that means that the cricket's not too far around the corner. So, yeah, there's still that element that you're excited for the summer to start. It's not quite the 19, 20-year-old where I used to try it on and make sure it was all good, the first kit, but it's certainly exciting getting the new kit. As I said, it means the summer's around the corner and you start to focus on the games.
One kit you won't be wearing is the T20 International one. That sort of surprised, I think, a few cricket fans, given the World Cup's just around the corner. Can you maybe help us understand why you made that choice ultimately?
Yeah, I said it a few times last week, but I'm a little bit about which format was going to take precedence. At 35, I've played 3 formats for a tad over 10 years, so sort of had to give a little bit to try and prolong my body as long as I could, and for lack of a better term, milk it as much as I can for Test cricket, because that will remain a priority for me and has done for my career. So with a few chats that I've had and still being in the mind of the powers that be for ODI cricket and potentially that 27 World Cup, just felt right with the timings to let the guys have a clear run at the World Cup. That bowling attack pretty settled. The guys that have come in, you think Ellis, Dorcas, Abbott, they've had a really good bunch of performances. So didn't want to interrupt any of that, but also give them an extended run heading into that World Cup. So yeah, timing-wise, just felt right for me.
Throughout your career, you've made it clear that Test cricket's primary for you. It's a real absolute priority. And I think at times the media, the cricket fans, are kind of in a rush to retire our greats across all sports. And with you doing this, it speaks to a person who obviously understands what they're doing, like they've thought about what they're doing long term. So where do you see the horizon leading? Like, how much longer would you like to play Test cricket?
Well, yeah, as I said, it's always been a priority for me and will remain a priority for me.
Welcome to the Ashes, folks. Starc rumbles in and bowls it down. He's bowled him. First ball. He played right over the top of that. He got too far across, exposed his leg stump, and the ball has hit the leg stump.
I think ultimately my body will probably be an indicator of when the time's right, more so than the mind. I think I still love competing. I still love pulling on the green and gold, and whether it's red ball, pink ball, white ball, still love being out there and competing and trying to win games or help play my role to help win games for Australia. So I'm not setting a timeline on the end date. I certainly don't need to retire, have a big retirement for 3 different formats. I think it'll happen when it happens. But yeah, whilst my body's still performing, whilst I'm still good enough to be part of that 11, I feel like I can keep playing a big role for the 2 formats I'm still in.
Speaking of body being right, obviously Pat Cummins with his back issues has sort of rocked Australian cricket fans. What was your reaction when you heard that news?
Yeah, it's. I mean, Pat doesn't give much away. I think the finer details will remain between him and the medical staff.
Still a bit of a wait and see. As I said last week, we've got plenty of time, so we'll kind of map a way back when we get a little bit closer. But yeah, at the moment for the kind of next few weeks, it's pretty light. Yeah, not much running or zero bowling.
He's certainly doing all he can to play a big part in the Ashes. Whether he's leading or his summer may look a little bit different. I'm not sure what his plans are for that, but having known Pat for a long time, he'll be doing all he can to get himself right for day one of that first test and play as much, hopefully a huge role through that Ashes series, whether it be 5 tests or different. That's up to him and how his body's going, but we as a group know he's doing all he can to play a massive part.
As I say, we're in a rush to retire people at time, but I think if you look at history, the clumps of retirement, so Chappell, Marsh, Lilly, Warne, McGrath, Langer, all at the same time, and I think the trio that is you, Cummins, Hazelwood, that sort of is something that's front of mind. It's a bit sports movie, but do you guys talk about that together? I mean, that's the sort of the delusion in Australian cricket fans at time. But you guys go so far back. Is it something you guys have talked about as a group?
No, not really at all. I mean, I made the decision with the T20s maybe 3 weeks ago. I rang Ronnie, and then once I had decided on that, I let the other 2 know that was happening. I didn't consult. I consulted my wife, but that's about it. Yeah, I mean, I think it's not lost on us that it's a pretty special bond that we have. Pretty rare that you get 3 guys that have grown up through cricket from the same state who get the chance to play as much as we have for Australia together.
Starc moves in again with the crowd behind him into Dicewell. It's on the pads. Oh, he's caught a square leg, and Mitch Marsh has taken the catch. And Starc, how often does he do this? And he strikes early in his opening over. Dicewell has gone.
You throw Scotty Boland in there, who's of a similar age group and has done some amazing things in Test cricket. So we're not a young bowling group. I guess it's part of our role at the moment to try and help the next crop of bowlers or however it may be. We're certainly not coaches, but we'll help where we can or answer questions where we can. I don't think it's certainly not something we've spoken about or walking away at the same time or different times. I think in fast bowling, the body tends to let you know first. But we have a good depth of bowlers in Australia, different age groups as well. We've got guys that play a lot of domestic cricket in their start of their 30s, guys in their late 20s, and obviously a very talented crop of 19-year-old bowlers coming through with some of the guys we've seen already on the domestic scene. So the depth is there. It's just about timing and when our careers eventually finish, who's ready to go and take that opportunity.
Very last one. I know that Pat's spoken about a desire not to necessarily captain until the end of his career. Obviously, we have a really ready-made replacement in Steve Smith who can do it this summer, but it's probably forcing Australian cricket to think, who's next? You've been around forever, you've seen the different leadership styles. Is it Alex Carey? Is it Travis Head? Who do you see as the likely leadership next off the rank?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Thankfully, not one I have to make a decision about. I mean, we've seen little bits of... Obviously, we've got Steve Smith there, who's done it for a long time and filled in when Pat's either been missing through injury, illness, whatever it may be. I think Trav's had a taste of it, or at least deputy of it. Alex has done maybe a bit for South Australia and has that leadership capability. I think the great thing about our group is we've got a lot of leaders. You don't necessarily need a title to be a leader, so there's a lot of guys with good cricket knowledge, good leadership qualities, and if the time comes where Pat's either not there or wanting to take a little bit off his plate, I'm sure there's a few guys that are comfortably step into that role and play a massive part.
Mitch, kit looks sharp. Good luck for the summer ahead.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
One of the things we raised with Mitchell there is the idea of who might lead the test side if Cummins and Steve Smith were no longer in that space. We asked Cummins himself. Here's his answer.
Yeah, I mean, Travis Head's the other vice captain, so Smithy and Trav have shared vice captaincy over the last couple of years. There's been a few more opportunities pop up in white ball cricket. Josh Inglis had a couple of opportunities. Obviously, Mitch Marsh is there as a full-time or T20 captain. And then, I think Aussie A and state cricket's a great kind of other breeding ground to give people formal opportunities. Teams going over to India in the next week or two, so you see a couple of guys get an opportunity there. But, we just try and introduce, younger guys or even senior guys like Travis Head into meetings and be part of conversations. So even if they don't have a formal role, they're leaders around our group.
We also asked women's leader Alyssa Healy. Take a listen to her 2 cents.
That's a really hard one to answer. I think there's a lot of great leaders within that side. I mean, you look at Travis Head, he's had a little bit of opportunity captaining, domestic and internationally. You look at someone like Alex Carey, seems like a natural fit. Whether you want that load as a wicketkeeper, I could say it's not that much fun, but he'd be a great fit as well. But, it even could be a smoky, like someone like Nathan McSweeney's shown a great leadership throughout his young career so far, and if he gets the opportunity to play Test cricket again, obviously you want him comfortable and playing well, but he seems like a real natural leader within that group as well. So lots of young names to think about, young and old, but I'm sure they'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
Headlines. In the NRL, there is injury intrigue around both Brisbane and Canberra ahead of their clash Sunday. The Broncos got an almighty scare with Reece Walsh limping off at training in Brisbane. Now, the club says that was just minor calf tightness and that the star fullback will be ready to take on the Raiders. The same can't be said for Adam Reynolds, though. The Broncos captain has been sidelined with a hamstring strain. That's been an ongoing thing, but he has not been named to take on Canberra this weekend. Given it's not a do-or-die clash, Brisbane can have a level of caution with the halfback. Oh, and they also have a pretty handy former Origin veteran in Ben Hunt ready to steer them around the park. So yeah, no rush, I guess. As for Canberra, the interest centres on veteran prop Josh Papali'i, who has picked up an ankle issue in the last week. It seems they're wrapping the big Queenslander in cotton wool until game time. He represents a lot of experience for that club. He's played 327 games in the NRL. In the AFL, there's more player movement coming, with Sam Draper expected to indicate that he wants to leave Essendon. The big ruck is understood to want to go to Brisbane, which would be another huge win for the Lions, who have also attracted the attention of ex-West Coast captain Oscar Allen, who's heading for the Queensland capital. Football, and it feels as though Ange Postecoglou has been linked to a lot of different football clubs since he was cut loose from Tottenham despite ending the North London club's trophy drought when he won the Europa League. You can add Nottingham Forest to that list after the Premier League side sacked manager Nuno Espirito Santo, despite him taking that club to 7th on the table last season, which was seen as a big win. The Portuguese coach made it clear his relationship with Greek owner Evangelos Marinakis had altered in recent weeks, shall we say.
Look, I always had a very good relationship with the owner. Last season was very close, almost daily basis. This season, not so well, but I always believe that dialogue and what you say or your opinion is always valid, because my concern is the squad and the season that we have ahead of us. But our relations has changed.
Now it's gone from not so close, inverted commas, to thanks for your time. It's understood the owner is a fan of Postecoglou's work, although he's also considered something of a wild card. We're dealing in a lot of circumstantial evidence right now, but you can understand how it feels as though there's some momentum building for the latest chapter of Ange Ball. Rugby, where Tom Liner is back in the Wallaby selection picture for the clash with Argentina in Sydney. The young fly half has been cleared of concussion issues for that game. The emerging playmaker is still struggling with hamstring tightness though, and James O'Connor has shown that even aged 35, he still has plenty to offer as the Australians ready for a capacity crowd as they seek to take down the Pumas. Tour de France, yes. Giro d'Italia, yes. Tour of Spain, not yet. No Australian has ever won the Vuelta Volta. But Jai Hindley could be set to have a massive crack. The former Italian Grand Tour winner is 32 seconds off third place, sitting fourth overall in the event with a week still remaining. Now, Jonas Vingegaard is the outright leader, a little more than 3 minutes ahead of Hindley. That's a fair chunk of time, but there's going to be plenty of opportunities to take back that time in the final week of racing. Watch this space. I'm Patrick Stack. This is ABC Sport Daily, produced by Poppy Penny.
Discover more great ABC podcasts, live radio and exclusives on the ABC Listen app.